So, yeah, Dynamite. We'll talk about Dynamite this week. What a big episode of Dynamite that was. This felt like a real turning point, a real stepping stone on the way to the next pay-per-view, but also just one of the most noteworthy Dynamites I can think of in the show's entire history. They jammed everything into this. But how good was it? There's only one way to find out, and that is by assigning each individual segment a lovely individual grade. That's right, it's Jack from Cultaholic, and this is AEW Dynamite Graded. Get in, come on. Oh, it was just so good. Anyway, I'll get to that later on. We start the show with Christian Cage versus Frankie Kazarian. This is obviously Christian's debut in AEW, his first ever match, and it starts with a lot of gripply-grapply wrestling to show that he can still do it, but Kazarian is firmly in control. But despite him being in control, Kaz does occasionally fall victim to Christian's sneaky ways. He goes for the kill switch at one point, but Kazarian backflips him out of it, and Christian doesn't quite land on his feet, which is a shame. It's like the one slip-up in this match. Otherwise, Christian looked really good. And Christian is also still that wily old possum that he's always been. At one point he's on the canvas just totally prone, and Kaz walks over and talks some trash. Bang, quick roll-up attempt, but only for two. Kaz hits the springboard leg drop and a huge Spanish fly from the top rope, but Christian kicks out of both and Kaz is livid. That allows him to get distracted, and Christian takes advantage and nails a big frog splash. Kazarian again builds up a big head of steam. It looks like he's probably got this match in the bag, which would be disastrous for Christian on his debut. Kaz charges at Christian. Christian moves, throws him into the ring post and catches him on the rebound with the kill switch to pick up his first victory in AEW. This gets an A- grade from me, verging on an A almost. It was a really impressive start to Christian in his AEW career. Just a very solid pro wrestling match. Both guys looked great. Kaz deserves a lot of credit as well, and I really enjoyed how certain moments really showed that Christian is a bit unused to the punishment of wrestling after so many years of relative inactivity, such as, for example, early on Kaz catches him with a big uppercut and he spills to the outside and he's got this look on his face like, oh no, this actually hurts, I remember this now. There's one point where Kaz locks in a cravat as well, and Christian fades really quickly, and it looks like he's just not used to this at all and is completely out of his depth. But he fights back, gets the win, and it's a good match. I think it's a great start to the show. Next up, it's time for one of Sting and Darby's wacky home movies. Sting and Darby are hanging out in their warehouse, or on the roof of their warehouse specifically this time. Darby is talking trash to Matt Hardy. He's tearing into him saying, Matt, you stirring people's respect with your actions. Now it's all about the money for you. Oh man. That's an effort, that's a real struggle. Darby and Sting then throw some money from the top of the warehouse to show that money has no meaning to them, which I don't believe, because they're wrestlers. Next, the exhibition match between Cody Rhodes and QT Marshall, in which Cody has said that if he gets a chance to really hurt or punish QT in this match, he's not going to take it, because QT's his best friend and he doesn't want to hurt him, and QT did not seem best pleased at being patronised like that by Cody. The setup to this match is really intriguing. You've got all of the Nightmare Factory trainees around the ring. Arn Anderson is the special guest referee. Cody gets his big entrance with bells and whistles and Dustin's with him and Billy Gunn's with him, whereas by contrast QT gets a total jobber entrance. We don't even see it, he's just waiting in the ring. They start off with some basic riggedy wrestling. Cody is clearly on a level above QT Marshall, and QT is not best pleased about it. Cody takes him down at one point, could stomp him but decides against it. QT gets up, he knocks Cody down, possibly with a handful of hair at the back of the head, and QT's generally being a bit more unscrupulous in this match. Cody's being all, well, I'm not trying to hurt my buddy, but to the point where you could potentially understand why it would annoy QT. At one stage, they trade quick lucha-style pinfall attempts, one and then one and then one, but Arn doesn't want to get on the canvas for any of these, so they're all 0 counts. And it's Arn Anderson. He can do what he wants. QT then starts to work on Cody's injured arm. This angers Cody. He trips him, goes for the figure 4, decides against it. QT gets up. Cody gets him in position for the crossroads. Again, he lets him go. QT is disrespected, slaps Cody right across the face, dives at him. Cody moves, and QT spills to the outside. Now Cody at this point takes the whole I'm a gracious babyface thing to another level. He sits on the ropes as if to be like, come on QT, I respectfully welcome you back into my wrestling ring, and QT's like, alright, okay, and he gets in the ring, just decks on Anderson, just punches on Anderson square in the face. Arn's just on the floor. Like, what? QT bails to the ramp. He's looking back at the ring like, oh no, what have I done? All the Nightmare Factory trainees get in the ring. They're checking on Arn Anderson. Cody and Dustin are livid. They're like, what have you done, QT? and then 3 of the trainees execute Order 66, and they turn on their brothers, and the 3 villainous trainees are Aaron Solo, Nick Comoroto, and, Ross Tweddle's best friend, Anthony Ogogo. Boxing legend and UK super... Go on, Anthony! The heel trainees destroy the rest of the trainees because they've got the jump on them. Lee Johnson gets powerbombed over the top rope onto the ramp by Nick Comoroto. They batter Cody, they batter Dustin Rhodes, they drag him up to QT on the ramp. He has a set of ring steps and he pile drives Dustin Rhodes on top of the ring steps. Very shocking stuff. They grab Cody now and Ogogo hits a big body shot right to the solar plexus and Cody's just doubled over. They drag him over to QT. He's got a chair. He is about to concerto Cody's head on top of the ring steps until Red Velvet rushes out and stops the beating, and the new heel group around QT Marshall all leave in very evil fashion. I didn't see that coming. When I say I didn't see this coming, I mean I saw QT Marshall's heel turn coming. We all saw that quite deliberately. Did not see it coming in this fashion, however, taking a group of heels from the training school away with him and just generally being far more evil than I think we were expected to believe he could be, with that pile driver on the steps and everything. Suddenly, rather than QT just disrespecting the Nightmare family and going off on his own as a solo heel, we've now got a big major heel with a group around him out of nowhere, plonked right into the AEW landscape. I loved it. It gets an A grade from me. Yes, huge fan of this. Next up, we get Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky cutting a promo to the camera together about feeling underappreciated and underused, and they are now a tag team. Yeah, that's cool. I like them both, but I like them both as individual guys. Scorpio's just turned heel, and I think there's still legs in his heel run, obviously. It's only just happened. Ethan Page has only just arrived, and I would have loved to have seen more of him as a single star. But, I'm sure they'll be a great tag team. I just wish that maybe they could have had a bit more time on their own. Now we go back to the arena, and backstage Red Velvet is being interviewed about rushing to Cody's aid, but before she can get too many words out about what has just happened, she is jumped by Jade Cargill, who beats her down, slings her into a production crate and walks off, and Red Velvet's all crumpled on the floor. Next up, we get an earlier today promo from Jon Moxley. He is in some sort of locker room somewhere, not a wrestling locker room. He's in like quite a high-end, classy gym-looking locker room, very polished, lovely wood effects in the background. He talks about how beaten up and how angry he still is about this war with the Good Brothers and Kenny Omega, and he says, hey look, tonight I'm booked against Cezar Bononi, and he's a huge guy, he's a big guy. AEW have done great in signing him. They can definitely make some money out of Cezar Bononi, but on the other hand, they can't if I kill him first, because I'm angry and someone's going to pay for it. And we get straight into the match. Bononi is accompanied by Ryan Nemeth and JD Drake, and it looks like he's probably going to need them. Sure enough, quite early on, as Moxley runs the ropes, his leg gets snagged by Ryan Nemeth on the outside, and Bononi takes advantage. Moxley fights back, of course. He turns the match into a bit of a brawl, which really suits him, obviously, and he gets an armbar locked in, but just when it looks like Bononi is in trouble, JD Drake pops up on the apron and distracts the ref. This allows Ryan Nemeth to get in the ring and attack Jon Moxley, and he immediately eats a paradigm shift, and Ryan Nemeth is out of there. The ref turns back around, Moxley catches Bononi in a sleeper hold, he passes out, and that's the end of the match. This gets a B- grade from me, not a big standout moment of the show, but it wasn't designed to be. I am quite surprised we didn't get any Bullet Club shenanigans after the bell, but that would come later on in the show. So B- is the grade. That's not a knock on the match or anything, it was just a little bit of filler, wasn't it? However, we do learn that Bononi's little group, him, Ryan Nemeth and JD Drake, there are kind of big things for them in the future, because I think JD Drake is about to have a TNT title shot against Darby Allin, possibly next week, although I'm not certain about that, but he has accepted an open challenge from Darby Allin. Now we head to an unspecified location, some lovely chairs. Maybe this is in the same leisure facility that Moxley was cutting his promo in. Team Taz are talking about how they're fine, everything's good in the group. Taz is reassuring us that everything's okay, and then Starks and Cage start to argue again. Taz has to calm them down and again assure us that everything is fine and no one can withstand our rage. And I'm like, Taz, you're fooling nobody. We now head to the Pinnacle's locker room backstage, where MJF has gifts for the rest of his boys. He reveals a man next to him and he's like, this is our new personal stylist, and he opens up this booklet of different colours and styles, and the Pinnacle are very impressed. They're like, ooh, that's all very lovely, MJF. What else have you got for us? And MJF's like, don't worry, boys. I've also got an interior decorator coming to jazz up this locker room because, it was disgusting when the Inner Circle left it. Now we're going to make it really, really nice. And finally, we can get rid of that horrible stench in the bathroom. And he opens the bathroom door, The Inner Circle are in there. MJF, as if he's in a cartoon, just closes the door and he's like, we gotta go guys, we gotta go. He opens the main door of the locker room. Jake Hager's there to intercept, and the rest of the Inner Circle pour out of the bathroom, and everybody beats the hell out of the Pinnacle. A lot. I mean, you've got Sammy Guevara hitting his finisher on Shawn Spears and then slamming a door on his head. You've got Jake Hager putting Wardlow through a massage table. You've got Santana and Ortiz destroying FTR. I think Cash Wheeler gets kicked into an ice bath, and Dax Harwood gets beaten bloody with the leg of a chair. Back to MJF and Jericho in the original locker room, and Jericho grabs MJF, sticks his head in the toilet, pulls it out and says the worst is yet to come, and throws him headfirst through a vending machine. It was Pepsi, by the way. Pepsi Cola. Love that Pepsi. I'm more of a Dr. Pep. It doesn't matter. Jericho says, this is our locker room, bitch, and he throws MJF out the room, and the Inner Circle take the Pinnacle's placard thing off the front of the door and they replace it with the old Inner Circle one. And it looks like they're back on top. Far sooner than I imagined, to be honest. I'm going to give this a B+ grade. I know a lot of people loved this. I enjoyed it. It was certainly very entertaining. That's why I'm giving it a B+. But why does it only get a B+? Well, I thought this was far too soon. I mean, you've got this newly established top heel stable to replace the Inner Circle. You've got the Pinnacle. They're full of very legitimate guys, great heels and that sort of thing. And they just get absolutely destroyed by the same guys that they beat up a couple of weeks ago. I understand that the Inner Circle needed to get revenge at some point, but I didn't think it needed to be quite as conclusive. Maybe they could have abducted one member of the Pinnacle and beaten them up or something. I don't really know, but this felt far too easy for the Inner Circle. I know they got the jump on them and everything, but it's the Pinnacle. It should be all about how great they are. With that being said though, I have no doubt that the Pinnacle will win the eventual feud, hopefully at least, and will go on to do great things in AEW. But just for now, this felt just a little bit over the top for me. Still really enjoyed it. It's still worthy of a pretty high grade. I just think that a lot of people might disagree with me on this one. Backstage we go again, and my boy Marvez is interviewing the Young Bucks, but then suddenly Don Callis rolls up out of nowhere and tells Marvez to get out of there. And Nick's like, I'm getting out of here too. Come on, Matt, let's go. And he storms off. And then Matt's about to leave, but Callis is like, no, you stay there. I want a word with you. Callis says that Matt Jackson claims that Kenny Omega is his best friend. And look what you did last week, he says to Matt. You chose to leave Kenny Omega beaten and bloodied inside that ring, whereas Kenny chose you guys and AEW over his amazing career in Japan, over the possibility of more money and fame elsewhere, and that's how you repay him. Callis calls Matt cold and dead inside and slaps him across the face, and Matt grabs him, but he lets him go. He doesn't retaliate, and Callis says, you're pathetic, and he storms off. Ooh, where's this going? And next up is Kenny Omega's match for the night. He is teaming with the Good Brothers, Gallows and Anderson, to take on the Lucha Bros and Laredo Kid. This match gets underway at 100 miles an hour. Who is surprised? I am not. Penta boosts Laredo Kid over the top rope onto the heels as they make their entrance. Phoenix hits a springboard moonsault. There's super kicks for everyone. Triple dives to the outside. This is just how the match starts. I mean, that's what was always going to happen, wasn't it? The Good Brothers and Kenny do take control and slow things down a little bit, but then the Lucha Bros start getting those hot tags. They start running a bit wild again, and just after a little bit of a dip in the match, we're right back to it with all the fast-paced action. Omega and Laredo Kid get isolated in the ring. Laredo Kid goes for a Hurricane Rana, but Omega power bombs him into the canvas. Big V trigger to the face, but Laredo Kid survives and kicks out. Kenny goes for the One-Winged Angel. Laredo Kid spins around and Hurricane Ranas him out of the ring, and then hits a terrifying suicide dive where he is upside down for a lot of it and his head comes very close to the floor, but he just about manages to rotate enough by the time he lands. A little bit later on, Kenny is draped over the top rope like that, dangling, and Phoenix does his insane rope walk kick from out of nowhere. It's maybe the best one I've ever seen because we don't see him start the move, we just see him fly in from out of nowhere off camera and just boots Kenny Omega in the face. He rebounds back into the ring. Laredo Kid with a Michinoku driver, as you fools may say, but I'm in the industry and I know it's called a Michi, a sick Michi leg. If you're of a certain character from Newcastle upon Tyne, that is. Omega kicks out of the Michi, and oh my word. Oh, why have I included this in my review? Omega kicks out of that move, and then Laredo Kid goes for a Phoenix Splash. Omega moves out of the way, V-trigger, One-Winged Angel, and Laredo Kid is done. But as the heels celebrate in the ring, here comes Jon Moxley out of the entrance. He gets down to the ramp, but he stops and realizes that he's outnumbered. And the heels are all like, yeah, come on, get in the ring. There's three of us. There's only one of you. And Moxley's like, well, just wait a second. And who should come out to join him but the Young Bucks, now seemingly aligned with Jon Moxley, they all get in the ring, the heels bail, and this is going to be very interesting going forwards. This gets an A- grade, really fun, really fast-paced 6-man tag team action. It's a 6-man match with Phoenix in it. What did you expect? Next up, Hikaru Shida and Ty Conti taking on the team of Nyla Rose and the Bunny. This is an interesting one because it looks like there's a lot of alliances going on, and the Ty Conti and Hikaru Shida are joined by the Dark Order, while the heel team are joined by Matt Hardy's stable. So there's a lot of different things going on in this match. The heels try and jump the faces at the bell, but they're ready for it and fight back. Things spill to the outside. Hikaru Shida goes to continue the attack, I suppose, on the Bunny, but Matt Hardy approaches from behind and stares her down, and Shida's like, "What are you doing?" And then it's all a distraction. Nyla Rose comes steaming around the ring, knocks her down. Tay Conti lights up the middle section of this match, just kicking the Bunny's ass. They also spill to the outside. Matt Hardy again walks over and approaches one of the opposing members of the other team, essentially. And this kick starts a huge brawl. The Dark Order run in to defend, and then obviously all of Matt's stable run in, and it just turns into a big fight. But things are going on back in the ring. Tay Conti nails the Bunny with the Thai KO, but Nyla Rose is in to break it up in the nick of time. But here comes Shida with a running knee strike to Nyla, knocking her out of the ring. Hikaru Shida heads up top, dives to the outside, where she is caught by a group of the brawlers below, sort of inadvertently protecting Nyla, I suppose. So Tay Conti heads up and leaps off onto everybody, and they all fall down. Conti gets back in the ring, but while this is all going down, Vicky Guerrero has managed to distract the referee. The Bunny has the kendo stick, huge shot to Tay Conti. She gets rid of the kendo stick and hits her finisher, which apparently is called Down the Rabbit Hole. Makes sense. And she pins Conti, and that's enough for the win. This gets a B grade from me. Perfectly enjoyable stuff, intense enough, and there was a lot of things going on with a lot of different people, you know, the two stables. The intensity continues, which is a good thing. We go backstage for a very quick promo now, hyping a match next week between Jurassic Express and Bear Country. So in this promo, we've got the members of Jurassic Express. They're all like talking trash, but in a cool babyface way, you know? They're all like, yeah, we're gonna beat you. We're gonna do it for Godzilla. We're nerds, just like you guys. But while I'm watching this, I'm thinking, this is kind of out of nowhere. Like, yes, Bear Country and Jurassic Express had their issues in that mixed tag match or multi-team tag match kind of thing. But at the same time, did it really warrant escalating this far? And then it's revealed that the match next week is in association with the new Godzilla vs. Kong movie. So that's why. But one thing, right. So Godzilla, Jurassic Express, I get that. That's an easy comparison. That's acceptable. I can take that on board and I can work with it. Kong, King Kong, huge, ginormous ape, Bear Country. Do you see? You see. And finally, the main event of the night, yes! I can't calm down. The Arcade Anarchy match between Miro and Kip Sabian and Chuck Taylor and Orange Cassidy. Yes, this had everything. And the match doesn't get off to as hot a start as it would develop into later on, but, you know, it's all right. There's some novelty spots involving the arcade machines around. There's a big brawl to start. Cassidy puts Kip Sabian's head through the back of a whack-a-mole machine and then kind of hits him with the mallet. It's not the best whack-a-mole spot I could have imagined in my brain, but it's probably a bit more difficult in practice without legitimately hitting your opponent in the head with an inanimate object. So I do understand that. There are painful spots going on, though. Miro at one point puts Kip Sabian through a guardrail leaning against the crowd barrier. That looks nasty. Miro beats up Orange Cassidy for a bit, but then Chuck Taylor comes back to save the day, leaping off the top of an arcade machine. The faces take control. They bury Miro under a load of debris and hold it down for quite a unique pinfall attempt, but Kip Sabian's along to break it up. Chuck Taylor fetches a teddy bear from the prize section, brings it into the ring, opens it, and there are loads of Lego blocks inside. We call them Lego. We call the plural of Lego in the UK for any Americans watching or anywhere else in the world that might use this form of speech, right? We say Lego. Look at that one brick of Lego. Look at that pile of Lego. Look at all those bricks of Lego over there. That's what we do. But obviously in America, you guys call them Legos or Legos. So that's just a charming difference between our cultures, isn't it? Anyway, you know what it's like to stand on a piece of Lego. It hurts, especially with bare skin. So imagine my horror when Chuck Taylor gets powerbombed onto the Lego by Kip Sabian. Ouch. No, I don't want to ever take a move like that ever. Orange Cassidy comes in now to take it to Kip Sabian. He hits him with Beach Break. Kip kicks out of Beach Break, but then Orange hits him with the Orange Punch. It doesn't look like Kip's going to kick out of that, so Penelope Ford pulls out the referee. Orange Cassidy gets out of the ring to confront her about this, and she kicks him down low. She takes off her belt. It looks like she's going to put a beating on Orange Cassidy. As she's stalking him down, they walk past a claw machine, and a figure pops up inside the claw machine and pushes the glass through and jumps out and starts attacking Penelope Ford. Who is it? It's Chris Statlander. Yes! Yes! What an entrance. Amazing return from injury. Love it. Not even the best one in this match. Statlander completely takes Penelope Ford out of the match, by the way. She heads up to the apron with her and hits a Falcon Arrow through an air hockey table. Yeah, Ford's done. Miro runs absolutely wild with a steel chair, and it looks like the faces are now in trouble. Chuck Taylor and Orange Cassidy are crawling up the side ramp, not the main ramp, like the side entrance of Daly's place. They're crawling up there, and there's a pair of headlights in the distance. And as they get closer, you're like, no way, could it be? And it is. It's Sue in the people carrier, and she's got Trent with her, and he gets out the car and he picks up his friends, and they go for it, and they beat up Miro, and I'm like, oh my god, it's the best thing ever. But shockingly, Miro fights them all off, all three of them, because Miro's a beast. And this match, despite being silly in parts, and despite being all about the best friends and their antics and how great they are, it did still portray Miro as an absolute beast. And he fights all three of them off, and he spots Sue in the car and waves to her very evilly and walks over to the car. Looks like he's about to climb on the front of the car. Obviously Trent's not happy about this. That's his mother. And he runs up and attacks Miro with a vengeance and basically saves the day. Trent bravely spears Miro through a table propped up vertically against the stage. Up on the stage, Chuck Taylor's got Kip Sabian and hits the awful waffle off the edge of the stage through two tables and pins him, and the best friends win the match. And Trent's back and Statlander's back, and it's just fantastic. The three best friends, the two best friends in orange, they all have a big hug in the ring, and then Statlander gets in the ring holding her back from that big move on Penelope Ford, but she sees them and they all have a big four-way group hug. Trent gets on the corner, they all give a thumbs up to Sue in the car, and Where Is My Mind's playing in the background, and it's just, oh my god, if you haven't seen it, just watch it, because I can't really describe why it was so good, but it just was the most heartwarming thing you could possibly imagine. It gets an A+ grade, obviously, but how good was the show on the whole? I think this was one of the most enjoyable episodes of Dynamite ever. It wasn't like a 5-star match quality show all the way through, but it doesn't have to be, because this show was greater than the sum of its parts. Everything added together to build something greater. And also even the filler moments or the less important matches all served a purpose. They all drove storylines forward in some way or drove characters forward in some way. And then you had massive highlights like Christian's great opening match that just shows he's still got it. Great performance by Kazarian as well. You've got things like QT Marshall's sickening, shocking heel turn with that new little group that he's formed around himself. You've got, for example, that, very fast-paced, 100 miles an hour 6-man tag team match between the Good Brothers and Kenny and the Lucha Bros and Laredo Kid. And you've got legitimately one of the most, I don't know how to describe it, one of the most fitting, heartwarming, weirdly nostalgic, perfect endings to a wrestling show that I honestly have ever seen. And the feud wasn't even a good one between the best friends of Miro and Sabian, but this made up for all of it 100%. With all that in mind, and the Inner Circle got revenge on the Pinnacle, which I didn't really enjoy as much as other people because it was too soon for me, but it was still very entertaining. Because of all that, it's an A+ grade. I'm giving this week's episode an A+ grade. One of the best Dynamites ever. Like, what a week it's been. Thank you very much for watching, and do leave your thoughts on this week's episode of Dynamite. I'm very interested to see if people agree with me in that comment section down below. Thank you for watching. I've been Jack from Cultaholic. Stay safe out there. Stay positive. Best friends are awesome. Yes. Yes. See you soon.